Hello and welcome to the August subscription tasting video where I'm tasting the 3 coffees we're sending out on the first Wednesday of August to all our subscribers around the world. And also in Norway, of course, where we are based. We do ship with DHL around the world, so it takes about 1 to a few days, like 4 days maybe, from when we ship it until we get it. You can pause, stop and change your subscription at any time. And in Norway we send with Posten, which takes around 1 to 4 days as well. You can subscribe from 1 to 6 bags, so that means we're going to taste 3 coffees today that I've selected, my personal favorites at the moment. And if you subscribe to 2 bags, you will only get a bag of the first and a bag of the second coffee. If you subscribe to 3 or more, you will get 1 bag of each, plus an extra bag of whatever. So if you have 6 bags, you get 2 of each coffee. That's how it works. Okay, it's August already, I can't believe it. And we have some refreshing coffees still to taste. A lot of people know us for our Kenyan coffees, but you know, we don't grow Kenyan coffee, we just buy them and roast them. I just happen to like Kenyan coffees very much myself. So when I go to Kenya, I spend a lot of time copying, mainly at Dormans, at the exporter that we work with there. Where they have huge selections of Kenyan coffees. So you could spend months there copying and just looking for the really best one. What I tend to do is to go down there and ask for coffees from certain cooperatives that we like to buy from year after year. And that I also know are producing good coffees, that are working with their members to improve the coffees on the farm, that are processing well. And that way I can kind of select, instead of getting like 400 different coffees, maybe I'll get a selection of 50 coffees that are specifically chosen for me by the exporter. They kind of know what I like now. And then I go through them and select what coffees I want. And of course, when I'm there are like tables and tables and tables of cups that I can cup. So you do get a little bit fatigued. I think in one day you can easily cup 400 or 500 coffees. You can cup all the coffees that goes to auction every Tuesday in Kenya, or you can cup different catalogs and so on. So cupping, that's what we do in Kenya. Unfortunately, we don't really work with a single farmer there yet. I'm hoping to do so in the future. We're mainly buying from cooperatives, and that's just because, in my personal opinion, at least until very recently, the best coffees tended to come from the cooperatives, where the farmers are smallholder farmers. They may have like 1 to 2 hectares maximum of land where they have their house, their cow, they grow some vegetables, maybe some coffee, maybe they have like a few hundred coffee trees. They pick the fruit. They know that when they pick ripe fruit, they get a better price, and they sell it to the nearest cooperative. Normally, if you live like close to the Gachatha factory, for instance, close to Ngerwe, there are a few different wet mills or factories, as they call it, in the area. But people tend to choose the one that is closest to them, or the one that pays the highest price for the cherry. So in most cases, the farmers are quite old. The average age of a farmer in Kenya is plus 50 or plus 60 years old now. And sometimes they don't even have a car, so that's why they normally go to the local wet mill. And that's why there's so many wet mills in Kenya as well, because they need to be close to where the farmers are. Cool, as you may know, Kenyan coffees are famous for their fruity and intense flavors, like blackcurrant, blackberry and so on. In the later years, this has kind of gradually changed a little bit, because a lot of the farmers have been encouraged to plant Ruiru 11 or Ruiru 11, as people call it, or Batian, which are new hybrids that are more tolerant to leaf rust. They're not resistant. But also have a different flavor than the classic SL28 and SL34 coffees. There are also other cultivars in Kenya, but the SL28 is kind of the most famous one, and is what people think is responsible for the blackcurrant flavor, but you do find that in SL34 as well. So gradually the quality in Kenya has shifted, I would say, and it's harder and harder to find the coffees that taste like super blackcurrant. We tend to find them from very, very small farms, but when we buy from a small farm, which we have this year, it's like 10 bags or 5 bags. It's very small volumes, so normally not enough to send out to our subscribers. So they will only be like special releases. There's a lot of talk about Kenya, and that's just because it's an exciting origin. I really hope that agriculture will change in Kenya. for the better, because they do struggle a lot with leaf rust, coffee berry disease, and other pests. And traditionally they are growing with mineral fertilizer, a lot of pest control. So I hope they will gradually change towards biological techniques that I'm testing out in Latin America that seem to work pretty well. We'll see after 3 years of trials. But my dream is to do that in Kenya. So if you're watching this, if you have a farm in Kenya and want to try that with me, please get in touch. Okay, let's taste the coffees. Enough talk from me. The first coffee we're sending out in August is from a wet mill that we have been buying from for many years. They have been consistently growing really, really nice coffees and producing good coffees. It's the Gachatha wet mill that is, I think, a one factory cooperative. So the cooperative is also Gachatha, close to Ngerwe town. And one of their challenges is actually they're losing members every year because people are selling their land to develop real estate because it's so close to Ngerwe town. So they're gradually producing less and less coffee. They have had some nice programs with Nespresso, for example, where they have been implementing a lot of Batian plants on the farms and also done a lot of agricultural training and so on. So I think, partially because of that and partially because the cooperative it's quite small, they are able to do extensive training on their members, and also the processing has been quite consistent. So I think that's one of the reasons why they have been producing very, very clean and very intense coffees over the years. Let's taste this one. Hoo-hoo. Okay, if you tasted the Capsuchisio that we sent out last month, that had a very soft acidity, red bright fruit. This is very tart acidity in a good way, more winey fruit, more blackcurrant, blackberries, a little bit of this kind of herbality as well, which I think come from the hybrids, but you can taste definitely blackcurrant, all this kind of raisin, classical Kenyan flavor. It's so intense, quite sweet fruit, but also quite tart at the same time. So you get this kind of tart-sweet combination, but very intense fruit. And I love drinking this also as a cold coffee. Even if I just chill it down in a cup and wait until it's cold, it's so refreshing to drink. Wow, yeah. So first coffee we're sending out from Gachatha. I think it's a one factory cooperative, as they call it. So that means the cooperative only has one wet mill where they process coffees. Whereas, for instance, Tekangu, that we have been buying from for many years, have 4 wet mills, Karagoto, Tegu, Ngunguru, and I never can remember the name of the last one. And there are also cooperatives that have 7 different wet mills. So this is a small cooperative with a small wet mill that has been producing consistently really juicy and tart, nice berry-driven coffees for many, many years. Cool. And it's also located in Ngerwe, if you were wondering. I think I mentioned that. So the second coffee is a coffee that I haven't bought before, also from Kenya. I'm not sure how you pronounce the name, Ngerwe. It's a really, really different profile than the Gachatha. I just couldn't resist buying it when I was cupping in Kenya. It was consistently one of the better coffees, because normally when I go to Kenya, I will cup coffees. I select the better ones from one table and I save them and I recup them on the last day when I'm there. So I cup there for a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday is normally the day when I recup all the coffees that I've selected and I make my final selection. So it's kind of like the World Cup in football, where you kind of beat out different lots in each round. And then in the end you have a final where you select the best ones. And this is kind of how I came across this coffee. I always do the blind cupping, so I don't really focus too much on the names when I'm cupping. But of course, I've already asked for some names when I do my selections or pre-selections. But this was a coffee that Dormans just put on the table because they thought I would like it, and I did. Ooh, I mean, compared to the Gachatha, which is very tart acidity, this is really soft and super ripe, like berries, almost like a little strawberry. Not in a fermenty way, but like this kind of ripe, soft, juicy, sweet berry notes. Also a little bit of blackberry, but not as much as the kind of tart blackcurrant flavor. I assume, and I haven't been visiting this factory, so I don't really know, but I assume like in most factories and farms in these areas that the farmers are also growing Ruiru, Batian, SL34 and SL28. So probably the same mix. Of course, the proportions will be different from place to place, depending on how old the farms are and how much they have been replanting. So it's quite interesting to see in Kenya that you can drive from like one factory to another with like 5-minute distance, and the coffees will taste very, very different, although they are quite similar. I mean, they always have this kind of red berry fruit, high intensity, high acidity flavor. So those were the 2 Kenyan coffees we're sending out now. And then the third coffee is actually not from Kenya, although I've been talking a lot about Kenya. But this is a very, very nice coffee. One of the better coffees we bought from El Puente in Honduras last year. It's actually normally sold as a geisha, but it's actually a field blend. So this is from a new area that Moises and Marcebel have planted called in San Isidro, where they have planted geisha, Batian, which is the Kenyan cultivar, SL28, which is also a Kenyan cultivar, and Katuai. So it's a field blend of 4 different cultivars where when they pick the coffees, they just pick from all the trees, mix it together, process it together. And what we found is that this has consistently for now 2 years since it's been in production, been super floral, very fruity, very pronounced flavor. I'm not sure why that is, because separately, when you taste these coffees separately, they're not as intense like the geisha can be, but the Batian, SL, and Katuai, certainly not. But when they're mixed together in a field, they just like boost the flavor. Might have something to do with cross-pollination or something, I don't know. But yeah, it's a delight to taste. And since we had a little bit left from last year, we thought we would also be generous and send this out to our 3-bag subscribers, just so you're able to taste this coffee, because it's so beautiful and so floral in a different way than you have like the geisha, jasmine, citrus florals. And here you have more like hibiscus, rosehip kind of florals. In this coffee, I find more like violets and yeah, a little bit like purple flowers. Let's taste. Yeah. Whew. Very like complex coffee. It reminds me of these kind of Bourbon coffees from very old trees back in the days. Has this kind of super winey red fruit, a lot of this florality, and yeah, just a very complex and nice coffee. Much bigger body than the Kenyans, less acidity, but flavor is very intense. Little herbality, probably from the Katuai, maybe from Batian, a little bit from the geisha as well, I think. But definitely a lot of red fruits and these kind of purple flowers. So, third coffee from Finca El Puente in Honduras. San Isidro is the kind of area where they planted this. You know, Finca El Puente is like a brand name for all their farms. They have farms in different areas. So this is the coffee from San Isidro that they have recently planted, and a field blend of 4 different cultivars. Hard to say which is my favorite, to be honest. They're all so different. Wow. Yeah, I mean, 3 completely different coffees, although the 2 first ones should be very similar. They're so different. So I hope you will enjoy them, and I hope you will taste them side by side like I've done. I've actually brewed these on AeroPress, but of course you could brew them French press or pour overs or whatever. But I highly recommend tasting them side by side, so that you can really get the flavor notes a little bit more easily, and preferably taste it with a friend, because it's much easier to learn how to taste when you discuss taste with someone else. I hope you enjoyed the video and also enjoy the coffees. Until next time, I hope you will have a nice August.